All the way back in 1986, the Cleveland Cavaliers drafted Ron Harper Sr. with the 8th overall pick. Things appeared to be off to a smooth start as Harper finished his rookie season by averaging nearly 23 points per game and following that up by being a key cog in helping Cleveland reach the playoffs in each of the next 2 seasons, where they would meet the buzzsaw that was the Michael Jordan-led Chicago Bulls. Everybody knows what happened next. Michael Jordan would end up hitting that game-winning shot over Craig Elo, and the rest, as they say, is history. Harper would wind up playing just 7 more games for the Cavs as he was traded to the Clippers along with 2 firsts and a second for Danny Ferry and Reggie Williams in a move that is still widely panned in the Cavaliers community today. Harp then went on to win 5 world titles with the Bulls and Lakers to finish out his career. So why am I opening up old wounds? Well, because Cleveland could have the opportunity to make up for that horrendous move in a major way by drafting or signing Ron Harper Jr. The Rutgers product is fresh off a senior season in which he averaged 15.8 points per game and snagged 5.9 rebounds while also completing 39.8% of his three-point attempts this season. So let's take a look at what he has to offer as a potential addition at the NBA level. First off, Junior is one hell of a finisher at the rim. He can take you off the dribble and knows just how to use his body and frame to his advantage. It's worth noting that while being listed at the same height as his father, Junior is about 60 pounds heavier and it shows. He is not quite as athletic, but is crafty enough as a ball handler to get the job done inside and looks to invite contact as well. He finished his career drawing less than 3 free throw attempts per game, but that number is mighty deceiving if you ask me. This is an area of his game which I believe could see a modest increase at the next level due to how the game is officiated. Junior has a unique frame that makes him a force to be reckoned with on drives inside and can't be deterred too easily by being physical with him. He can run the floor as the primary ball handler, and all I have to say is good luck stopping him when he has a full head of steam. He can even operate as the pick and roll initiator and finish when necessary, something you guys probably get tired of hearing me say, but the truth is that this is a prerequisite of any guard operating in Cleveland's offense because of the bigs that they employ. Also, he may not be as athletically inclined as some of the other prospects in this year's festivities, but he can finish above the rim due to his length. This makes him a bit of a lob threat. He also has some pretty crafty finishes inside as well. If he has to step through, he is able to showcase high-level footwork which aids him in finishing. And as a rebounder, he is able to complete putback opportunities on the offensive glass. Next up is how versatile he is on the offensive end. In an off-ball role, he can spot up as a situational shooter and catch fire once he has a rhythm, and displays fluidity as well as a quick release, and is probably best in the corners right now, which is just fine for how I could see the Cavs using him out of the gate. He has a microwave scorer in him in this regard. And when out in transition, it's not uncharacteristic to see him run to the three-point line on both wings, especially as a trailer. Something that I find very intriguing about his game is how well he operates the pick and pop. Now, we've grown very accustomed to seeing this out of, say, Kevin Love over the years, and to be quite honest with y'all, he might be the only one on the roster that can do this consistently. Adding another player capable of doing so would definitely help the guards out a bit, and at his size, you could technically roll Harper Jr. out there as a small ball 4 and see some success out of it. And while he will often look to score first, he can operate the pick and roll and deliver some decent passes out of it. I think this is an area in which you could see some growth upon playing with some NBA caliber bigs. And if he's trying to create for himself, he can hit the step back 3 from time to time. But this does come with a little more volume when being switched on in the pick and roll. His size allows him to be a viable threat to post you up, and I'm not mad about that at all. None of Cleveland's guards, save for maybe Karis LeVert, has that skill set because of their smaller statures. His go-to move may be his turnaround fadeaway jumper. Alrighty, let's talk some defense, which is Cleveland's calling card. Now, upon analysis of his film, you will likely notice that this guy has a lot of potential on that end. If you are putting him in one-on-one scenarios, he will show you just how impactful he can be, especially in the elbow area where he can force ball handlers into bad shots and block a few while he's at it. His length helps him recover pretty quickly and block shots from behind, as well as close out really effectively, and as a result, he can alter shots without getting too handsy and drawing fouls. If he can get a hand up on you, he can take away ball handlers' ability to drive inside, and this is a skill he possesses when going through screens as well. He can chase shooters off their spot in this regard too. And in the post, he can use his length and flat out size to make shots a hell of a lot harder. Good luck backing him down. There's an element of shot blocking abilities there too. His instinctive nature when being driven directly into is to get a hand up, and that could definitely deter drivers. Well, now that we have the good out of the way, let's talk about some of the things he must work on. Number one is his lack of athleticism. Look, let's be honest here. Junior can certainly struggle when trying to get by his defender in one-on-one scenarios. He lacks an elite first step off the bounce, and this is something that will only continue to be exploited at the NBA level where most players are great athletes. This could lead to many bad pull-up attempts, especially if he has no outlet to pass the ball to. This is something that could also be exploited on the defensive end as well. He could have a difficult time staying in front of quicker players, especially if he is deployed as a guard much like he was at the collegiate level. Number two is the fact that he might be very difficult to project just what type of role he will play at the NBA level. His versatility is great, but it is also a bit of a curse when you think about it. Will he line up at the 3 or the 4? Could he even see some minutes at the 2 guard wherever he goes? Your guess is as good as mine. He has that in common with another guy I just evaluated in David Roddy. It'll be difficult to project where he will receive the bulk of his minutes at. It could be a team dependent thing at the end of the day, and I don't necessarily see the Cavs using him as a guard though. He could soak up some minutes at the 3 in stretches if need be. Last but certainly not least is his overall conditioning. Now I'm not going to mince words here. It's highly likely that whichever team drafts or signs Harper Jr. could ask him to slim down a little in order to possibly offset any lack of explosiveness. If he could lose anywhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 15 pounds, he can stay in front of quicker players and be used in a variety of ways. He could be an NBA ready prospect if he can adapt to the speed and quickness of NBA caliber athletes. Now, all in all, some team will undoubtedly take a chance on this guy, but where he lands initially could determine the entire course of his professional career. At 22 years old, he is already older than most of his peers, and that could factor into the decision making on some front offices in regards to him. The Cavs could bring him in as a project type of player to develop with the Cleveland Charge and take the long-term approach with him if need be. And as mentioned before, if he can get his conditioning in order, there is a place for him on an NBA roster. Cleveland has picks 39 and 58 currently. I could see a reality in which they take him 58th overall, and if he goes undrafted, they'll be able to make a run at him if they choose to.